Hi, I'm Chris Sullivan. I'm the Director of Land Protection for the Conservancy, and we are here today at the Lower Woodcock Lake property, one of our current Campaign for Generations projects. And this is really one of the highest priorities in our region, certainly within the Platte River watershed. And we're going to take a walk around on this beautiful fall day and have a look at some of the features that make it so special. One of the obvious features of this property is all the surface water. There's the entirety of Lower Woodcock Lake. There's several tributary streams. There's a half-mile of frontage on both sides of the Platte. But one of the more overlooked aspects of the property and how it relates to water quality is the groundwater inputs here. And this lake it's a kettle hole lake. It was formed by a giant block of ice left behind by the glaciers, melted, filled this valley up. But around it, it's surrounded by ridges, and on top of this, of these ridges, is really porous, sandy soil. And precipitation, the snow and rain, filters down through these sandy soils, and they come pumping out of the ground as surface water at the base of these ridges. And if you look down here, there's a stream channel flowing into the lake, and the length of this stream is only a few hundred feet. It's all of this volume of water comes pumping out of just the base of these hills in the immediate vicinity here, and there are other features like this on other parts of the lake. So it's just a constant influx of water from these hillsides. This is a great spot to talk about habitat connectivity, which is an important component to this property. Water originates in Upper Woodcock Lake, it flows into Lower Woodcock Lake and out to the Platte, and the Platte connects up to Lake Ann and downstream to Bronson Lake, and then all the way downstream out to Lake Michigan. And when you're talking about biodiversity, it's important to have both big blocks of habitat and then corridors that connect these blocks of habitat so that individuals and species can move between these habitats. And it's easy to think about it and see that when you're talking about water, but this property from a terrestrial standpoint is also important. It's a big property on its own, but it's adjacent to state-owned forest land on all four sides. And so what it effectively does, there's a large block of state land just to the east of here. And then there's two isolated blocks of state land, one to the west and one to the south. And by protecting this property, it creates a permanently conserved corridor linking these what had been isolated chunks of habitat protected by the state of Michigan into a more cohesive system of protected land. We're at the Platte River here. We're just downstream of the point at which the outflow creek from Lower Woodcock Lake dumps into the Platte. It's right over my shoulder where that tree is leaning out over the river. And the Platte is interesting. When you think of rivers in northern Michigan, you think of the cold groundwater trout streams. And the Platte further downstream certainly fits that bill. But up here, almost all of the water is coming from lakes. So it originates, it flows out of Lake Ann, it gets this outflow from Lower Woodcock Lake. This eventually flows a mile or so downstream into Bronson Lake. And all of that warm water from the lakes flowing in makes this more of a warm water system. So instead of having trout in here, and there are a few trout in the margins, but this is more of the sort of fish that you'd find in these lakes occupying the stream here. Because the water temperature in the summer, for most of the summer, is above the lethal level for trout. So a little bit of a different habitat. It looks very much like our northern Michigan trout streams, but again, it's except for the little bit of groundwater influence flowing in, it's mostly warm surface water. So in addition to the water quality and habitat protection aspects of this project, it really lends itself well to passive outdoor recreation. It's a large property, it's 230 acres. It's got a lot of upland forest, rolling hills, that would allow for trail development, in addition to all the interesting features of the lake and streams, and some wetland features as well. You know, hiking, snowshoeing, skiing, all those sorts of passive recreational pursuits are well suited to this property.
If you'd like to learn more about Lower Woodcock Lake or any other projects in the Campaign for Generations, please visit gtrlc.org. Thanks.